Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Premodern Showdown Series 3. I'm Michael Hoyp. I'm joined this evening by none other than Flint Espel. Say hi, Flint.
Hi, everybody.
All right, we have our schedule for the night up. We have starting off with John versus Ron, and then we have our second match with Ben against Brian. So John is two and one, as well as Ron, and then Ben and Brian are both 1 and 2. So the first match, they're looking to kind of separate themselves and get a lead. There's a couple other players at 3 and 1, I think, and then the players at 1 and 2. I think if you fall to 1 and 3, you're feeling like you're a little bit behind the curve. But 2 and 2, the way that things have broken so far, I feel like you still have a good shot of making the top four even at 2 and 2. So still a lot to play for all these players. Let's go down to. Let's actually. I have some slides of getting to know the players. So uh, I didn't have these ready for Tuesday night match, but we'll go over some of the players that played on Tuesday, and then we'll have some of the players that are playing tonight as well. So here we have Aaron. Aaron was one of the players on Tuesday. He started playing Magic in Ice Age. I think there is a pretty big pattern that a lot of the players in the series have been playing Magic for a while. I think that's pretty typical of the pre-modern player base, but most of all, they're just like people that start playing Magic usually just play it their entire life. So that's another thing to say for it. But Aaron is a red mage through and through. He is well known for his Sligh deck, and he loves to bust it out every now and then. I know he has said in other times that he feels guilty playing Sligh all the time, so a lot of times he'll play Sligh and then change a different deck another month. So he'll alternate between Sligh and a different deck. His favorite pre-modern card is Lightning Bolt, which is fitting given his preferences. And as I said, his favorite pre-modern deck is Sligh, which he has had a lot of success with. He kind of has pioneered the new iteration of Sligh using Urza's Bauble, which I guess has been the norm. Though I guess I really haven't seen that many other players other than Aaron playing Sligh lately. And his least favorite pre-modern card to play against, he said, today it's Ravenous Baloth, and that is pretty fitting given his deck preferences. So is there anything you want to say about Aaron real quick?
I think that pretty much sums it up. Really nice guy, good player, and loves that red deck.
Yep. And then we'll move over to Aaron's opponent on Tuesday was James, and so James started playing in 1998, which I guess I'm not sure what set is that around Urza's or a little bit before. Uh, I'm not sure exactly the timeline, but James' favorite color is blue, which that's also another thing I feel like a correlation is a lot of the players do enjoy the color blue. Like they like to feel smart, so blue is a good color to do that. His favorite card is Psychotog, which I don't know if I've ever seen James play the actual deck Psychotog, though I think it might have been in some of his. Was it in his blue black control list? I don't remember, but probably not because then I think it would have been called a Tog list. So um, that one I guess surprises me a little bit, but his favorite deck is the blue black zombie infestation deck, and that one's pretty fun to play. It once your engine kind of gets going, you feel like you have a lot of value, which is pretty fun to do. His least favorite pre-modern card to play against is Humility, uh, one of the fun police cards. Shut down all the abilities of all the creatures. So we'll move over to tonight's match. We have John Grudzina. He started playing in Mercadian Masks, and like James, his favorite color is blue. Which I guess I do know him. But like I think John, when he first started playing pre-modern, I think he played a lot of blue white control or blue white land still. So I was to say recently, I think he's been playing colorless decks and elves and whatnot. But yeah, I have seen him play the blue cards. His favorite pre-modern card is Masticore, and then his favorite pre-modern deck he couldn't decide between elves or mud. And I think those are the decks he's recently been piloting and had a lot of success with. His least favorite pre-modern card to play against is Stasis, which is very understandable. But I will want to note as we go on to this next slide how fitting it is. Uh, we have Ron, and I'll jump right down to his favorite pre-modern card is Stasis, and that is one of the decks that Ron brought to the Premodern Showdown Series 1. Loves the misery of Stasis, and I think Ron likes to play off that theme of other people's misery is his pleasure. But he started playing in Actuals Urza Saga, and his favorite color is blue. His favorite pre-modern deck is Reanimator, which is something that he has piloted a lot. It's probably not the most competitive of pre-modern decks, but it is a lot of fun to play. It is cool to reanimate a fatty on turn one. And his least favorite pre-modern card to play against is Survival of the Fittest. So funny how John and Ron line up that their least favorite card to play against is either the opponent's favorite pre-modern deck or favorite pre-modern card. So there's a little bit of some of the players, and let's jump down to our ban screen for tonight's match. So this will show what 3 decks the players have available, except one of them is banned. So John has Survival Elves, the Star Spangled Slaughter, and Prison Oath. His Prison Oath deck has been banned, while Ron has brought Suicide Black, the Replenish combo, and Prison Oath. And John has also banned Ron's Prison Oath. So no Prison Oath tonight. Do you want to make a quick prediction, Flint, based on these decks, what each player will bring?
Mm, mm. I'm gonna play Replenish.
Okay.
I'm a little uncertain about what John's gonna do. I think he might do red, white, and blue, but given how it went last time for him, he might be a little gun shy and actually go elves. So I'm gonna say Replenish versus elves, even though that's probably not gonna be it. That's probably not gonna be it.
Okay, so we'll jump over to the decks. We'll see how Flint does with his predictions. I feel like your batting average is pretty good. John is playing Survival Elves, so this is the debut of the Survival Elves deck in the Premodern Showdown Series 3. We had 4 players bring a very similar deck list of this archetype, and this is the first appearance we have of the Survival Elves list. So it'll be exciting to see them in action. I guess we'll briefly talk about it since we haven't talked about it yet. But the deck is filled with a lot of 1-drops, a lot of them being elves. But so there's mana producers with Fyndhorn Elves and Llanowar Elves and Priest of Titania that can be untapped with Kyrian Ranger or Wirewood Symbiote. Also, the Multani's Acolyte is a mini card draw engine with the Symbiote that you can draw a bunch of cards. And then the remaining cards or creatures are Survival Tutors. So Survival of the Fittest is a powerful enchantment that allows you to discard a creature card to go get another creature card from your deck. And so typically you'll get Sligh, because Sligh will come back every turn, and then you start your engine of being able to find other pieces. And the Survival Elves will often find Anger, so that if you have a mountain in play, then your Priest of Titania can be cast and tapped right away. You get a lot of mana, and then like the big heavy hitters from this deck are either Deranged Hermit or Kamal, and Kamal has overrun on a creature. So the disruptive element of this deck is Tanglewire, which there are 4 copies, and the deck does a good job of playing under a Tanglewire because it has so many cheap drops that it can either play to the board beforehand or even after, and it can still untap permanents with Kyrian Ranger and Wirewood Symbiote. So a lot of stuff going on in this powerful archetype. So over to Ron's deck, we have none other than Replenish. So this is a focus combo deck where it's looking to draw a bunch of cards and then discard a number of enchantments to put into the graveyard, and then cast the card Replenish to bring them all back. And so there's a couple different combos that it can do. Is Pandemonium and Saproling Burst will deal 21 damage. Pandemonium and Opalescence and a number of enchantments could just kill your opponent. Or Opalescence and Parallax Wave can exile all your opponent's creatures and then have a 4/4 that is protected. Or a combination of those to have a board presence. We've seen Ron exile all his opponent's lands with Opalescence, Parallax Hide, and Parallax Wave. But also we did see an opportunity that Ron played against a hate card and just kind of beat down with opalescence and enchantments. So even though I thought this deck was a straight combo deck, it actually does have a little bit of resiliency. And also, one thing to note is Abeyance is a good card against the typical hate card of Tormod's Crypt. So is there anything you want to add about either of these decks quick before I talk about the key cards of the matchup, Flint?
Let's move on.
Okay, you froze a little bit, but I think you're back now. So,
I'm back. Let's move
okay,
on.
key cards. So, the key cards, I think, from the elf side are going to be the interactive cards. So, in the main deck, Tanglewire is a way to kind of slow Ron down. And like I said, the elves deck is really good at playing under a Tanglewire. So, I think that's a key card that John will be looking for. Out of the sideboard, Tormod's Crypt is a really good card to exile all the cards and something that Ron is always going to be having in his mind. From Ron's perspective, a card like Frantic Search is really powerful. We've seen it produce extra mana in cards like City of Traders or Ancient Tomb, but it also combats the Tanglewire quite nicely. So if it's Ron's turn and he has to tap down a number of permanents, and let's say he's going to tap all his permanents anyways, he can float the mana and then let the Tanglewire ability resolve, and then cast Frantic Search with that floating mana, and then have his untapped lands, and then continue to do stuff in his main phase. So a neat little interaction that people might not be aware of that you can get around the Tanglewire ability. And then City of Traders, as I kind of mentioned, the fast mana is something that's really powerful. I think the Replenish deck is kind of the I guess the Elves deck is kind of forced to react because I feel like the Elves deck is a little bit slower than Replenish deck, so I think Elves is looking to kind of be the aggressor in this matchup. All right, we've done a lot of pregame, so let's get down to the match and watch some magic. What do you think about that?
Sounds great.
All
Let's
right,
do it.
so the players have been notified that they can play. Let me flip this screen real quick. We have John on the play, starting with a Wooded Foothills, which he will probably get a forest. All right. Oh, I do need to get a poll up quick. So if you want to do a little bit of play-by-play, Flint, while I get that set up.
Sure. Pretty standard play here. Turn one Llanowar Elf from John.
All right, you got a couple of minutes to predict whether John or Ron will win this match. So put your channel points on the line and see if you can win it big. Someone wants to know, what the heck are you wearing, Flint?
This is my Halloween costume. Let's see if chat can figure it out. Or if I'm just too far off the mark. All right, so really nice follow-up here in terms of Symbiote and a Gaia's Cradle here. Yeah, Jared, thanks for the subscription. I am indeed Richie Tenenbaum.
I would have guessed the Big Lebowski. All right. We see Enlightened Tutor getting Pandemonium, so I'm guessing that this is a missing piece in Ron's hand that he's looking to. That he probably has something like a Saproling Burst, and he's looking to pitch this Pandemonium so that he has the kill once casting Replenish.
Absolutely.
All right, what do we have for life totals? I missed this. So John is at 19 and Ron's already at 15.
Yep.
The poll should be up.
Yeah, it should be up, Gabe.
You only have like 20 seconds left to vote, so.
So John decides just to swing in here and knock Ron down to 11, and then he adds a Querying Ranger to the board.
Yeah, so Ron has played an attunement, so that's a card that it's an enchantment that can draw and discard cards. Is pretty much the short of it, I guess. Yeah, I guess so. Chat was noting that John has a lot of mana and decides to attack. I guess that he just doesn't have a payoff card in his hand. He doesn't have a survival or a Kamal. I guess, I mean, there's not that many ways actually to utilize the mana if you don't have either of those cards. Like, the Elves deck is kind of fair if you don't have those things going on.
Sure.
I guess the other unfair aspect of the deck, guess I would say, is Wireward Symbiote and Multani's Acolyte. But that's not like a it's not super explosive. It's more grindy, which I don't think will come into play as much in this matchup because I think this is closer to a race given the nature of the Replenish deck.
Ron really needing to think here, so he doesn't have the combo, it would seem. Nope. Not with the first attunement there. Let's see if we see maybe a Frantic Search as a follow-up here.
Well, that was one thing I was to say is like if a card like Frantic Search is in his hand, that I mean I don't know if there's any real disadvantage of putting the enchantments in game one because there's not going to be a graveyard hate like Tormod's Crypt, but it could be something where he is holding off because he doesn't want John to know like I'm likely to combo off if I just have Replenish. So it could be a little bit of a like gamesmanship from Ron's perspective, but here we see some frantic search going on. So if there's Replenish here, this is game. It should be.
Yep.
And
21. There it is.
Yep. So here, because there is both Replenish and Sapling Burst or Pandemonium. Yeah, Replenish is being cast, and there's Pandemonium and Sapling Burst. So Sapling Burst has the ability to put a number of creatures into play, and Pandemonium is going to have them deal damage equal to the power. So the first one deals 6 damage, then it deals 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. So
that'll do it.
That's a total of 21 damage. So the first game goes to the Replenish deck, which to me wasn't very surprising because I think the Replenish deck is a little bit quicker than the Survival Elves deck, and there really isn't a lot of disruption other than a card like Tangle Wire out of the main deck from John. So not super surprising, but things might get a little bit more difficult if we look at the sideboard. So 2 Tormod's Crypt are going to be coming in. A card, Null Red doesn't do anything, right? I don't think there's any artifacts in Ron's deck. So a card like Naturalize is not that effective against this combo because unless Ron's going for like a fair beatdown plan, with everything coming into play at once, the triggers are still going to happen. You can save a little bit of life. Like if that combo was just Pandemonium and Sapling Burst, you're able to gain, or you're able to save some amount of life. So if Ron were to activate the first, or to remove the first counter, John could respond with a Naturalize, and it would save him 6 life. So that is something that maybe is possible because it's not like Ron is likely to be dealing damage otherwise. But if there is still like if there's Pandemonium and Opalescence in the graveyard, then it's likely going to be dealing enough damage anyways. So I don't know if Naturalize is actually the best card against Ron. Are there other cards that you see in the sideboard that you think are interesting?
Yeah, I'm curious to what he's gonna take out. Right? Are there any cards in the main deck that are just completely dead here?
No, Well Wisher's not actually, because I was gonna say Well Wisher isn't good, but gaining a little bit of life actually could be okay. I guess there's no card that's like stone bad. I guess Mastercore actually is pretty clunky and not that effective. But yeah, most of the cards seem reasonable. But yeah, Mastercore seems like the worst. We do have a gifted sub that Cedric Troll had gifted to Najingo. So thank you, Gabe, for the generosity, and enjoy your gifted sub, Najingo. All right, let's look at the Replenish deck and see how things change. So Abeyance, there's 2 copies of Abeyance in the main deck, and then there's 2 in the sideboard. And I think, in general, that's one of the plans that Ron has against a card like Tormod's Crypt, because you're able to cast the Abeyance preemptively, because so much of his discard, like Careful Study, you don't even necessarily, because it only costs 1 mana, but you don't necessarily need to pitch any of the cards into the graveyard until the turn you go off. So you can use the Abeyance, and then a Tormod's Crypt can't be used that turn. And then you can start pitching cards with Attunement and Frantic Search, and then go off. So a pretty effective way of fighting probably the most common graveyard hate in the format. Uh, Other than that, like I mean, I don't know exactly when these other Opalescence and Parallax waves come in, but that could see something that would be possible. I don't know if Propaganda. I don't think it's that effective because either the creatures are really small or John has a lot of mana and could probably pay for the Propaganda. So I think there's gonna be light sideboarding from Ron's perspective, and like I don't even know if he's gonna bring in go up to 4 Abeyances because there's only 2 copies of Tormod's Crypt from John's list. So I'm not exactly of how many cards Ron's going to board, but I don't. Even if he kept his 60 the same, I still think I think he'd have a reasonable shot of winning these post-boarded games.
Yeah, I think it's probably just the 2 Abeyances and the Seal of Cleansing is probably what I would board in.
Okay. All right, so we'll go back down to the match. The players are shuffling up, and so we should be starting this game 2 soon. And we will see who if John can equalize or if Ron's going to take this match 2-0. Do you have a preference of who you pick to win this game?
I think Replenish is advantaged on, but more so on the play. So I think John's odds to go up here, and there's a chance he could take game 2, especially if he has a Tormod's Crypt and forces Ron to have the Abeyance. On the play, though, if there's a game 3, I do think Ron is favored to take the match.
Yeah, I would even say that I think Ron might be even slightly favored on the draw, even in the board games. I think Replenish deck is pretty quick, and there's not a lot of good disruption out of this Elves deck. So Ron is mulliganing, and that is something that can hurt this deck because there are a number of cards like, I mean, Careful Study, Frantic Search, and Attunement are all card disadvantage. Or is Attunement card parity? I don't know. But either way. So it is good to have a number of cards, though you do want most of the cards in the graveyard anyway, so it's not like you need a lot of cards in your hand to go off. You just need Replenish and then maybe a card like Abeyance or something. So
Another classic opener here. Turn 1 mana elf.
yeah, with the 8 mana elves from the elves deck, it's a pretty common line that you'll see. But good to see some Findhorn love. I know you're a fan of that one, right? Or am I mixing you up with someone else?
I do love Findhorn Elf.
All right. And we do see the turn 2 survival, so the namesake card is on the table, though. So I don't think there's like a creature that really disrupts the combo, but I mean, there's still like the engine is online that if John has enough mana and time that he can really you'll see I guess like the squee into anger into Priest of Titania and then Wirewood Symbiote untapping and getting a bunch of mana and then getting Kamal and shooting it down. I guess one thing that, and I don't even know if it's necessary, but one interaction with Masticore that we talked about not having the best being the best card is if you do have Kamal and Masticore, you can really lock someone out of a game. If you have a lot of mana, you can just animate their lands and shoot them down. So,
Yep. Probably not in this matchup, but pretty cool to see it happen. I think we saw it in one of the video recorded monthly matches, right?
I don't know. I know it's happened to me. I know Lester shot down my lands. I don't know if that one video has been posted yet, so maybe that's a little bit of a spoiler or something that's to come. But yeah,
Plan E, yeah, in the Elves deck.
Yeah.
One of many things it can do.
All right, so John has discarded redundant Findhorn Elves and now is getting the squee to start this value.
So we see a couple interesting plays from Ron. So one, he tutors for an opalescence, and then two, when he casts his frantic surge, he does discard a pandemonium, but he also discards an abeyance. It looks like. I mean, is he close to just winning? Is he looking to just untap frantic surge and win? I mean, and it's interesting for him to be discarding those cards and searching the way he did. But I don't know what you think.
Yeah, it's certainly possible that he's looking to win this quickly. Because what turn was it? Did he win on turn 3 or was it turn 4 in the last game?
It was turn 3.
Okay. Oh, chat's correct me. Say he didn't take it. He just wanted to show off the squeeze foil. So did he end up getting anger
He
first?
got anger. Yeah,
Okay.
get that immediate value as um, as Brian Durkin points out.
Well, like, why wouldn't? Because didn't he do it at end of turn?
I don't know where we're at in the game state right now, honestly.
Because wasn't it turn 1 Finhorn Elf, turn 2 Survival, and he had a Finhorn Elf up? So he could have got. Oh, I guess yes, he would be able to get the squeeze but not discard it. So yeah, okay, never mind. So yeah, that makes sense.
Ooh, Symbiote Cradle. Wow, this is pretty good.
All right, so 2 mana is used or produced from the guy's cradle, and now we're discarding the squee to the survival. And what is our next? Is it? It's Priest of Titania, right? Because that has haste, and he can
Let's tap
still
for 2 more.
tap it for 2, and then he could untap it as well. So yeah, it looks like Priest of Titania is the card.
Then he wants to play Quarian Ranger. Well, I guess not yet. He's got the symbiote. He wants to untap his ranger. You
Yeah.
can tell I haven't played this deck in a long, long time.
All right, so he's going to activate the ability of, well, because it returns it as part of the cost, so
Yeah.
it's not like a stack trigger. You can do it where you can get 2 mana twice out of it. So, well, the priest is mana neutral on the way down, but with the, I guess the Wayward Symbiote, yeah, I guess because you get an extra mana, but that's not really like generating anything here. He does discard this Finhorn Elf, so do you get a Kyrian Ranger here? And this is kind of the one of the demonstrations of the finesse that goes into the deck, that there's a lot of permutations of whatever you want to do in the situation, and in the hands of a good player, this can do a lot. Okay, so we have another priest here. So 1 mana was floating. The priest only tapped for 1.
So here's my question. Like, what do you put Ron on? Do you put him on to win the next turn? Because if you do, I think you search for a well wisher, right? And go to 22 life. You get 1 out of Pandemonium range. But if he's
Uh,
got an opalescence and he's got a Pandemonium in the graveyard, then it may not matter.
yeah, I think that's a reasonable thing to do, especially because like squeezing your graveyard, you're gonna get it back, and you're gonna be able to discard it the next turn, and you're gonna have more mana. So just buying a turn is really valuable from John's perspective. But
Ooh,
set a no extra land for Ron, and looks like John is going to have the ball in his court to really take advantage of
yeah.
this missed land drop from Ron.
Ron's in trouble here.
Like I don't know exactly, but is this a spot? I have to imagine like John can just win here, right? Which is kind of crazy in its own right, right?
I don't know if he can win from here. He's gonna get the, yeah, there's the Hermit.
Well, if that comes down before Gaia's Cradle makes a lot of mana, and I guess that it puts squirrels into play and not a bunch of elves. So these priests only make 2 mana right now. So you could go tap the priests in the mountain to make a deranged hermit.
Yep.
Okay, he's got some squirrels. He still could use the symbiote. Now that I mean, this guy's cradle taps for what, 8,
8.
and he still has an untap that could return like the deranged hermit. So if he returns the deranged hermit, so he has 8 mana. He's gonna discard. Was he just casting this again? I was gonna say he could discard the hermit to go get.
Can he attack for 19 here?
Oh yeah, they are haste. I guess is this
I think it's 19 damage.
just from that, or did he have to like?
I think he replayed the hermit, so he's got 8 squirrels, right? And they're 2/2s.
Okay,
So that's 16, 17 from the hermit, 18 from the symbiote, and 19 from his other priest.
yeah,
Is
I
that
guess that's pretty clean
19?
clean way to
Yeah.
do it. Yeah, that I guess I was thinking of more like convoluted ways of like trying to generate mana and get Kamal and, but yeah, I guess Hermit being cast twice and with the squirrels being hasted, that 16 damage from the squirrels is quite a lot.
It's a fair chunk of life. Who needs pandemonium and Saffron Burst, right?
All right, so I guess the elves deck was a quicker, I guess a turn quicker, I guess, or maybe half a turn quicker than it felt like. But I mean, with no disruption, John can pretty much do that every time that he has survival, because he just needs a mana elf and survival, and that's all he really had in that hand. I guess the big difference was is that he had a mountain. I think it is a little bit trickier if you have to go get the mountain. It slows you down a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think
Get
that
the
actually
Granger to
was,
get the mountain.
yeah, having haste right away and not having to get the Granger is is probably the most significant uh, variable in that quick kill. So
That's my favorite children's song. He discarded the elf to get the squee, discarded the squee to get the Granger, discarded the. I don't know why he got the mountain. I think it goes a little something like that. It's been a while since I've heard it, but we'll let chat chime in.
yeah, I don't know if I heard that one when I was little, but I do like it. So yeah, I don't think anything like really changes, like that game experience really changes how I think that Ron would sideboard. So I think the players are likely just going to be sending back their same deck lists.
Yeah, I played John in one of the monthlies when he was on Elves, and we talked a little bit about it afterward. And the take was exactly the same as what you'd said. It's just if there's no interaction or disruption, the deck will just go crazy really, really fast.
Yeah, and one of the things that's really powerful about it is that you can draw survival at like any point in the game and pretty much do that sequence pretty easily, and that is a pretty difficult thing to deal with for a lot of decks. So definitely a very powerful combination. That like it's not like you're, obviously you have to build your deck around it, but the synergy with the deck when it doesn't have survival, it's not the worst. I mean, like you're still like doing some reasonably powerful things.
All right, we got one card on the bottom from John. Let's see how we go.
We got chat just naming out animals after we talked about bare naked ladies who came to bear, came to wolf, came to pigman. All right,
And Bear Pig is next, I'm sure.
we do see a Tormod's crypt. So it's not game over uh for for Ron. This is the one card I can't bring up. I have to bring up a new bordered Tormod's crypt. Um, but yeah. So abeyance is kind of Ron's easiest answer to this. But that does cost 2 additional mana to what Ron wants to do. So that could that mana difference actually could just be a big deal. So Priest of Titania is the additional elf that John has played. Well, Ron has access to 4 mana, and then he has an attunement out. So it's hard to say. I mean, like Ron's not gonna. He could keep all his cards in his hand pretty much to the point of when he's going off. So I think he's looking to get more mana and have abeyance, and then have the rest of the combo is kind of was looking. So adding that additional piece of getting abeyance potentially could really slow him down. And we do see a tangle wire, so the disruption from John is real here.
Indeed it is. Ron's already a little tight on mana with that Tormod's Crypt as a consideration, so not something he wants to see for sure.
It's always nice to see a flooded strand that's tapped. All right, so City of Traders comes into play. I don't know if we can really read into that, if that means anything, because that's usually not the last. That's usually the last land you want to play, unless you're really taking advantage of the mana the first few turns. But I guess Ron can always add one additional land that's still going to use out of the City of Traders. All right, are these elves coming in?
Looks like it. Ron's down to.
Well, I guess the good news for Ron is while he is facing down Tormod's Crypt and Tanglewire, without a survival, he has a little bit of time. I think it's not like the pressure is immense from John's perspective, but that could change a lot in very little time with a card like survival. So is that a Wirewood activation that, I mean, is basically vigilance kind of thing?
Yeah.
Not a super productive of use of the ability, but I guess when it's free, you might as well. All right, so Iran has tapped 3 permanents, so he leaves the City of Traders up. So I guess with an island, even with an island, and if he had like Frantic Search, he would be able to potentially get multiple uses out of the City of Traders. So the City of Traders sacrifice trigger would go on the stack, and then you could respond with the instant Frantic Search.
So John goes for a naturalize on attunement here, and Ron says, "No, I think I'm going to return it."
I have targeted attunement with a Waxwing before, so
Nice.
I've done a similar play. My kind of thought was that it might make Ron discard cards that he didn't think were important. I think I ended up like vindicating a land after that, but not the greatest feeling to naturalize an attunement. But
2 attunements and 2 lands go to the graveyard for Ron.
well, this is kind of a spot like even if that's not necessarily indicative of saying that he doesn't have the combo in his hand because of Tormod's Crypt being in play. So Ron might be saving it from in his hand and waiting to get abeyance before he starts discarding the cards that he actually wants to.
Here comes that card draw grind.
Yeah, Phil, there is a lot of suspense with both of these decks of how explosive they are. Um, it's kind of exciting to me, like from the replenish, because so many of the cards like stay in his hand that it's kind of hard to read of when Ron's going to go off. When John is, it's a little bit easier. Like if he develops his mana and then plays a survival, then you're like, okay, you can see it coming after that point. But for Ron's, it is really suspenseful when everything can it can go from nothing to killing you in one turn. All right, so a little chip damage from John. So still things like, I mean, I don't. They're in theory. I think Ron still can pretty easily win this game. Like that, he seems to be getting a lot of time. I don't know what turn we're on exactly, but uh, without the survival,
Well, I mean, if he has an Abeyance and a Frantic Search and the kill in his hand, he can just tap all his mana, right? Let the wire resolve, and then he can cast Abeyance, and then he can cast Frantic Search, and then he can untap and win, right?
yes, and it looks like he's floating mana. Yeah, so he's all right. So he's floating white, blue, and four colorless.
So white color, let the Tangle Wire resolve. White colorless Abeyance. Yep.
Here's abeyance.
Don't forget to draw that sweet card, Ron.
I don't think he'll forget to do that. If you're John, do you? I mean, like, do you use the torment script here? That's one thing that's also interesting. Is like, what if Ron doesn't actually have like, what if he just has two abeyances or something like that? And this could just because Ron's saying, or if John's thinking, well, if I can't use my torment script after this resolves, maybe I should just use it to get rid of these attunements, and it might come into play if it's just pandemonium and opalescence. Then it might save me some damage. That's an interesting aspect that I didn't really think of. That it could be just like a semi bluff from Ron.
I don't think that Ron wins here. If he's just gonna like untap and go for it, he needs to have another Frantic Search for John to get ultimately punished by a play like that. Otherwise, it's just some damage.
Yeah, but
Um,
you're putting John in a position of saying like if John's afraid of Ron going off and then uses the torment script in response, then like
yeah, I'm saying
if Ron has like another abeyance in his hand, then it's kind of a free roll. Sounds like a lot of people have disenchanted attunement, so um, so I guess it's more of a common line than I thought might come up. But
yeah, I don't know. I think if I'm in John's position here, I do not activate the crypt.
yeah, I think like the only time where you get punished for not activating it is if there's like an opalescence pandemonium kill and it wouldn't have been enough otherwise. And
Yeah.
I it's pretty hard to calculate like the odds of that happening, but it seems pretty unlikely, but definitely possible.
Ron really thinking about this too, so
Well, we don't know if before that if the thinking was from John or Ron. I mean, like because Abeyance was on the stack for a while, right? So I think most of the thinking was John, right?
Ron was just thinking a little bit before he discarded his cards.
Okay. Two Blind Split Second is in pre-modern. I do like the design from a competitive aspect of how Split Second like really changes
Yeah.
how you do things. It's kind of annoying in some aspects, but I think it's really interesting of how it would interact with a card like Tormod Script, like Split Second of destroying it. So
I think we saw an attunement and maybe a propaganda get discarded there from Ron.
okay, so he's playing land the in the form of Flooded Strand that City of Traders will die. Does this mean we have more frantic searches? Oh, Parallax Wave. So you could exile the Wirewood symbiote. I mean, you kind of have to target that one first because otherwise,
Absolutely.
I guess I mean it like does make him spend the mana again. So he's exiling the three creatures. So one thing to note is this makes Tangle Wire a little. I guess the Tangle Wire is on one. I was to say if the Tangle Wire was at a higher number, that it would be forcing John to tap down more permanents. But I guess he also has Torment Script as well. Gaia's Cradle not as good when there's no creatures in play, but
A little late to the party, but he does have, we knew he had at least one creature.
well, there isn't
Oh,
another naturalize. But I mean, it's still one of those situations where like Ron's position doesn't seem that bad. I guess that's all depending on like that's assuming he has like a number of cards in hand. And I guess he probably doesn't given the way that the last turn went. So maybe I'm overvaluing his position. John adds a Multani's Acolyte to the board.
John saying here, oh, for that one counter on, got to tap one of those sweet, sweet lands.
Right.
Wow, another attunement. It's the fourth one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how many more turns do you think Ron has? He
Not many.
so John's paying for Echo, and now he's yes, this is a strange tournament. Okay, I think Ron has one more turn. Yep.
Depends on whether or not this is a Kamal.
Well, I don't even know if Kamal would Kamal be enough. Another Strange tournament.
Oh my God.
Well, these aren't hasted like the last turn
I
or
know.
last game, so it at least gives Ron a little bit of forewarning. So if Ron just has Abeyance and
Oh,
Replenish,
that was a survival. Does he have enough mana to go get a Granger
oh, he's got it right.
Mountain?
If he because he oh he already tapped the cradle. Number of elves.
He needs a squee into an anger into a Granger. And then he just wins. There's the anger.
Uh, Ron could. Oh, I guess does abeyance. I guess if he abeyances now, then there's really no chance that he wins the next turn, anyways. I guess he would have to draw
Yeah.
another one, but
Scoops him up.
yeah, even
Elves takes him
even
down.
so, uh, yeah. I guess I would say abeyance does interact with survival, but I guess it doesn't in any way that would prevent him from getting what he wanted. So yeah, that was a close game out of the Survival Elves Replenish matchup, and it goes in favor of John. So I'll update so we can listen to the players and figure out what they have to say about the matchup. Hey guys, do you have us unmuted?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So the I guess I was thinking. I guess maybe I'm overestimating the consistency of the replenish deck, but
Yes, you are.
okay. I was say um, I was is even though like John had a bunch of disruption in that entire third game, I felt like Ron had enough time to like find everything he needed. But again, like I think it's one of those things where I feel like he always kind of they always have it unless you actually pilot the deck, and then you realize that it's not as consistent as it's not like you always have abeyance plus replenish plus pandemonium and sapling burst or opalescence and parallax wave. So
Yeah, I figured that was my my window to go for it. Um, and I also had the backup plan. I had Parallax Wave in hand, plus I had Enlightened Tutor to go get the Opalescence to set up that combo. Um, so, uh, I had a decent first plan, drawing an extra card off the Abeyance, drawing 2 cards off of the Frantic Search, plus my draw step. I had 4 looks at a Replenish. Ended up being 6 because I think I drew a Careful Study in there too. So I was already fairly deep into my deck. An extra 6 looks at a Replenish, and whiffed. And then I let out a pretty significant groan when that second Naturalize hit my my Parallax Wave, because that's when I knew the game was over.
sure.
Yeah. I just didn't have enough cards left to put anything together at that point.
So Ron,
Did you
like,
have a burst in hand at that point with the Abeyance turn?
No, I had 2 Pandemoniums, but
And an Opalescence?
I didn't have the Opalescence, but if I'm able to replenish multiple Pandemoniums and there were 2 attunements in my graveyard too, so I would have gotten them back. That digs
They
me
wouldn't be
extra
creatures.
No, not at that point. But I mean, that gives me a lot more cards and a lot more time to get to the point where I can do something else.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think your odds are very good there, actually, because I mean, you can't pass the turn there. Because if you have a bin full of stuff, I mean, I just
I still had the wave plus opalescence. I had the wave.
Oh, I thought you said you didn't have an Opalescence.
No. I had the wave in hand, and I had an enlightened tutor in hand as well.
You had asked Sapperling Burst, I think, before, John.
Well, he has Sapperling Burst and he has Opalescence, but I had the wave plus enlightened tutor in hand, and the enlightened tutor would go get the Opalescence if I whiffed. But I needed the 2 white mana. Could I have cast enlightened tutor before I Frantic Search? I don't know if I would have had enough mana to cast the replenish at that point.
No, you had exact manas, I believe.
Yeah, because I needed the white mana during my upkeep to cast the Abeyance. Yeah. So I couldn't enlighten tutor on my upkeep.
So Ron, have you played
I had
against
that before.
elves a decent amount with a Replenish deck before?
Yeah, I beat it both times.
Okay. So yeah, because I think you had said that your game plan coming into the series was to not ban elves, and I think all three of your decks you're set up in a way that you're happy to play elves.
Yeah, game 2, had I drawn a Saw land instead of whiffed on lands entirely, I would have won game 2 on
Okay.
turn 3. But John had a pretty nuts. I think John won on turn 4, and I was on the draw, so I didn't even get an extra look at the Saw land.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Do you guys want to talk about your banning process? Both of you banned Prison Oath, which I think maybe some of the crowd is thankful because I don't know exactly what that mirror matchup looks like, but
I played it once.
I'm guessing it's not great, but
It takes a long time. I banned his Prison Oath because it's good against both Suicide Black and Replenish. With all the Wastelands, the Replenish deck has a hard time against Wastelands. And then obviously playing a turn 1 2/2 with Suicide Black is not going to work out against a turn 1 Oath. So like my only, and it's not even a good match, a mirror match, or ban it. So that's why I went with the ban.
John, do you have any input of your banning process?
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't really want to play against it with any of my non-oath decks, and I don't really want to play against it with oath.
I think we're okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, I figured if I ban oath, he's probably banning oath just because of how the matchup would be, and I figured we'd basically be kind of in a coin flip as to who has the favored matchup.
So John, we're in week 4, and you are the first player to bring elves, even though half the field has the elves deck in their arsenal.
Oh,
so
really?
yes, so that's kind of the things that we talked up. That and it's not been banned every time. There's been a number of times that players have had their elf deck available to them, and you were the first one to play it. So it's currently undefeated, but we'll see if that continues. But yeah, so. I'm looking through chat. I don't think there were really any questions from going on. I know people were just talking about like the suspense in terms of how either the deck could kind of win out of nowhere, especially obviously the Replenish deck keeps its cards in its hand and can just win, but just resolving survival with having a number of mana, and as John really displayed, especially having like that mountain, not having to like go get the Granger or anything, really like saved you a turn or maybe 2, yeah.
As soon as he played the Cradle, I saw the line and knew that it was game over, but, I had to make him go through the motions. John's a very good player, so he's not going to miss that line. But,
well, I didn't see it,
I still
but
had
yeah.
to
Yeah. All right. I guess with that, if you guys don't have anything to add, then we will let you two go. But we want
to. Good night, guys. Good games, John.
Thanks for the games.
Good games. See ya.
Good night.
All right. With that, we'll go back to our schedule. So we still have one match for our evening. We will be setting things up between Ben and Brian. But in the meantime, we are going to go to a quick break as we get them set up. And we will be back shortly for our second match of the evening. So sit tight, everyone, and we will see you soon. All right, everyone, we are back from our break. We have our players set up. I realized I forgot to run my little friends of the show slides, but I do want to take this moment to talk about our sponsor for this series. We have CardSphere graciously sponsoring the Premodern Showdown Series 3. And if you're not familiar with CardSphere, it is a service that allows you to buy, sell, and trade paper Magic cards. So what you can do is not only you may be used to trading of a 1-to-1 where I have a card and the trade only goes through if your the other person has a card that they want of yours. Well, what Card Sphere allows is if I have a card that I'm looking to trade and someone wants it, I can send it to them. I get credit for that, and then I'm able to use that credit to get a card that I want, and it doesn't have to be from the same person. So Card Sphere is a service that facilitates those type of trades. It is backed by US dollars, so you know that the credit that you're getting is legitimate and will maintain its value. And you're able to cash out for a percentage of the credits if you're looking just to do it. So some people just use it as a selling service that you're basically just selling your cards through Card Sphere. So really cool service. I encourage you to look it up if you're interested in trading, which for me is kind of nostalgic. I feel like at this point it's something I remember doing when I was younger and don't get as many opportunities to do anymore. So cool service that's there. So at this point, I would like to pull up some more slides of getting to know the players. So we just saw Ron in this match, and now we will look. Jared played on Tuesday, but I didn't have these ready then. So Jared has been playing since Revised / Fallen Empires. So he's been playing since back in the day. And his favorite color of Magic, he says red, obviously. And if you have followed Jared, he does play goblins and Sligh, and a lot of the red decks thinks that feature red cards. So fitting of his personality, he does like to attack. He's more proactive than a lot of the other players. So his favorite pre-modern card is Curse Scroll, and his favorite pre-modern deck is goblins. His least favorite pre-modern card to play against is Counterspell. He says, I hate it when people say nope. So he likes to cast his cards, and so I can see as a red mage, so he'll probably have some red elemental blasts in most of his sideboards. So now looking at Tom Metelsky. Tom was one of our other players that was on Tuesday. He started playing in Urza Saga. His favorite color in Magic is blue. His favorite pre-modern card is Fact or Fiction. That one's always fun. I enjoy playing with and against Fact or Fiction. I don't know, maybe most people don't like playing against it, but I find it kind of fun and definitely rewarding when you do a good Fact or Fiction split. Are you a fan of playing against Fact or Fiction, or do you just prefer to cast it?
It's an interesting sort of experiment, right? And it's one of those blue spells that's very interactive. Usually a blue player plays a card and it's all about them just drawing cards, and they laugh at you with their card advantage. But it is nice because it puts you in a position where you feel like you can interact with it. When sometimes it goes really well, and like you said, you're like, yes. And then other times they they do their follow-up play and then it feels really bad.
I feel like there are times that I just I get this intuition of a Fact or Fiction split, and I just kind of go with it. And I don't know, I'm like, it's usually an aggressive split, and I guess there's not too many times that I've really regretted it, but that's, I guess, the fun that I have of, I just say, all right, I'll take this risk of, like, I'll represent having this one card that would make them not want to take this bigger pile, and try and take advantage of that. But enough of that. His favorite pre-modern deck is Psychotog, and that is one of the decks that he is bringing, where other players may have overlooked the Dr. Teeth deck, but Tom has been tweaking and tuning it, and has it in a position that he likes it against a lot of the other decks. So he has pioneered and supported the Psychotog deck. So his least favorite pre-modern card to play against is Survival of the Fittest. So he might be banning elves to prevent it, so he's not playing against that card. But moving on, we have Ben Pelcyger. He started playing Magic in 1994. He said his favorite color is green, though he did make a note. He said, after buying Mox Diamonds and using all the green, I don't know if that can be true anymore, or something to that extent. So his favorite pre-modern card is Heisterdon. So the 5-mana 3/4 that when it hits you, you draw a card. So not a card we even see that much even in pre-modern, though I know David Daniel has put it in a rock list and it had some success with it. So His favorite Premodern deck, he said, is Full English Breakfast, though I've never even played with it, but it's cool as hell. So a lot of respect for the Feb from Ben. His least favorite Premodern card to play against is Phyrexian Dreadnought. I do like the Dreadnought in some aspects, but I do understand how it's frustrating if you face off against a 12/12 on turn 1. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but. And then finally we have Brian Durkin, the last player for tonight. When did you start playing Magic? Learned to play in 4th grade with alliances. I think he said that he had taken some breaks after that, but he's been playing for the greater portion of 15 years since. And his favorite color is red, which I would not have guessed, I guess, since the decks that he has played in Premodern and done well with. I think Allure and Reanimator aren't quite the red deck, so...
Stasis.
Yes, that as well. His favorite Premodern card is Cabal Therapy. I really do enjoy the design of that card. It's one of the cards that's really rewarding when you feel prepared and can be really cool when you connect with the right card. Favorite Premodern deck is Allurin, and that is one of the decks that he has piloted to some success in the monthlies. His least favorite Premodern card to play against, he said, Sarah's Sanctum or Mox Diamond when the opponent gets greedy and only plays 19 or less lands. So, yeah, I can imagine getting blown out by, or not blown out, but having your opponent play Mox Diamond only to see their list and they're skimping on lands. They still didn't have any issues, but yeah, so those are our players. Let's go look at our bans quickly, then we'll look at our decks and we'll get started with some Magic soon. So Ben has Survival Elves, his Death and Taxes deck, and Zombies. His Death and Taxes deck was banned by Brian, so he will not be playing that tonight. Brian has 4-color Terragon, Survival Elves, and Sligh, and his Survival Elves deck has been Sligh. Ben tried to ban all 3 of Brian's decks. He asked if that was legal. Unfortunately, it's not. So, do you want to make a quick prediction?
Oh man, this one's tough. I think we're gonna see Sligh for sure from Brian.
Okay.
And for Ben, I think we're probably gonna see Zombies. That's my prediction.
All right, let's jump over the decks. First up for Ben, he is playing the Zombies deck.
All right.
So the aggressive black tribal deck, we have seen this one in action, but looking to flood the board with zombies, it does have some recurring card advantage with Lord of the Undead to bring back zombies, and it has some reach with Gem Palm Polluter, and probably not the best in this matchup is Shepherd of Rot, since it makes both players lose lives, but also Rotling Reanimator is a card that, if the Sligh deck has to go to the attrition route, can really profit the zombie player. But we will look at Brian's deck in none other than Sligh. So good job, Flint.
Did I just bat 1,000 for the night?
If you got the other, I know you got both of these right.
The other two.
I have a short-term memory, so I don't know if you got the other. Then yes, you got
this
4 out
doesn't
of 4.
happen very often, so I just have to point it out. I lack a lot of praise in my life. So anyway, continue.
So Brian is running the more traditional Sligh list. We saw James with the 5-color Sligh. This deck is much more typical of what the meta sees, and it's a consistent, aggressive, powerful deck, and just has a lot of ways of dealing direct damage and getting in some early hits, and can really close out a game really quickly. So I know typically this matchup is said that it is in Sly's favor, given that it can kind of play both roles. If it comes out fast, it can just kill him with burn, or it can play a controlling route with some of its cards and just keep the board clear. So let's quick look at our key cards before we jump down to the match. For the Zombies deck, I think Dark Ritual is going to be a key player. Coming out fast and getting the board is one of the ways that the Zombies deck could steal a game, and Dark Ritual is its best way to do that. And then kind of on the other end, Lord of the Undead. Not only the Anthem effect might come into play, that it's like a few points of damage, kind of like as haste, but then also there might be spots where the returning a zombie to your hand could come into play if the burn deck does have to play the attrition game. On the Sly's perspective, the cards that I've highlighted are the cards that are really good at playing the attrition game. And like I said, I think the Sligh deck in certain situations will be able to just be aggressive, and if things come to it, it will be able to kill the zombie deck quickly. But if things need a grind, Curse Scroll and Grim Lavamancer will shine. They are recurring sources of damage, and being able to kill all of the black creatures and then just kind of accrue card advantage and kill Ben eventually. So that's my prediction for the matchup. Let's jump down and see how things go. So let our players know that we can get started. I will throw up a poll so people in chat can predict who is going to win this match, whether it is Ben with the zombies deck or the Brian with Sligh.
See a familiar pup from Brian here.
Bow wow, old friend. Bow wow.
Oh, wow. And a Carnophage. All right. Interesting to note here, Brian doesn't elect to run the go wide creature answers in his sideboard. He goes for Lava Dart, which is great against other Sligh decks and against elves. So I guess that's probably his thinking, but decides not to do Pyroclasms or Pyrokinesis or cards along those lines. I know some Sligh versions, including my own, tend to run Pyroclasm.
Yep, so if you aren't aware, chat, you guys have just under 2 minutes to throw in your prediction of who will win this match. We have the Jackal Pup getting in and the Carnophage. Oh no, the shock took it out, so the path was cleared for the Jackal Pup. I was gonna say Ben might be happy to block there, but
Ooh, Cabal Therapy, naming what? Fire Blast?
Fire Blast, Ball Lightning, Sulfuric Vortex.
Turn 3's coming up.
I think any of those three are the cards that I would name. I guess if Sulfuric Vortex is not like a, I don't know the count in Brian's list, but I guess I'd be less likely to name it then. But probably Ball Lightning, because I think I would name Ball Lightning now, because a card like Fire Blast won't get cast for a few more turns, and you could get a creature to flash it back if he does have it.
Ooh, Curse Scroll.
Okay.
We may see a creature in a flashback here. Curse Scroll would be rough.
I guess it's kind of cropped out for everyone, but the hand is Barbarian Ring, Incinerate, and Curse Scroll. So what did we get any confirmation of what the card that was named?
He named Ball Lightning.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it looks like he's definitely going to flash back the Cabal Therapy to get that scroll.
Okay, so the Curse Scroll is dealt with thanks to the flashback of the Cabal Therapy. So, I mean, that's a good exchange in some sense of you're getting a key card out of Brian's hand, but there's still a good amount of power. I guess this Carnophage can just get in the way of Jackal Pup. If this, I guess the Incinerate is going to take it out. So, the burn spells are clearing the path, and the Sligh deck's chipping in. I guess we will really have to pay attention to life, because I'm not going to be able to read the pad total that Ben has. So, all right, the Sarcomancy will make a token.
And both players really running through their cards in hand pretty quickly. So I do think some of those cards you mentioned in your key card list, the grindier things, right? Like Lord of the Undead, the Curse Scrolls, Lavamancers, those would definitely tilt the match in one person's favor.
Yeah, but Ben's been on 1 mana for these first few turns, so the grindier cards might not come into play unless he's drawing land from his perspective. I don't know what the hesitation is. Where is Brian thinking? Where are we at? Okay. So he's attacking the Jackal Pup. Well, I mean the thing is though, if there's not a zombie in play, he still will take a damage from the Sarcomancy, and yes, a follow-up Curse Scroll. So
that's just cruel. cruel. Expect
Uh,
nothing less from a Sligh deck.
and I don't think that I think Brian doesn't have any cards in hand because maybe he has one. He had Incinerate, Curse Scroll, which got discarded, and then a land, I think,
Yeah, I don't think he
a
did.
Barbarian Ring. So Ben does have another Swamp, but he gets attacked for 1 from the Mog Fanatic, and he still is. He's going to take another damage from his Sarcomancy. Oh, he cycles a Gem Palm Polluter. That was not the most effective Gem Palm Polluter, but still will draw him a card.
Can we just take a minute to comment on those gorgeous swamps on Ben's side? Oh, Mirage.
Unfortunately, they don't all match. That would be my biggest criticism. I guess some people do like the variety, but consistency is something that I enjoy in basics. So Shepherd of Rot. This one will happily block a Mog Fanatic.
I ain't no prognosticator, but I reckon it may not get the opportunity.
That's true too. Right,
Oof.
so Lightning Bolt is revealed, takes out the Shepherd, and Mog Fanatic comes in. And so yeah, this Sarcomancy is kind of backfiring on Ben, dealing a little extra damage. That bolt was pointed at Ben.
Yep.
So
All right,
I think
that's game.
yes, I think the attack for 7, and then the Mog Fanatic should be able to finish Ben off. So unsurprisingly, the Sligh deck that was closer to the fast game, I guess. But Ben kind of didn't get off the ground after he kind of stalled on mana. But I think either way, his deck is kind of fighting an uphill battle in this matchup. All right, let's look at the sideboard, see if anything changes here. Is there anything that's really exciting? I guess Contagion is probably the most exciting card. Maybe Oath of the Ghouls, maybe Rotling Reanimator. I don't know.
I like Rattling Reanimator, and it's kind of weird, but Contagion may actually be okay.
I mean it's better than Snuff Out, right?
Yeah.
Like Snuff Out makes you pay 4 life, and
Yes, no, that's real bad.
Contagion makes you pay 1. I guess you have to pitch a black card. There's an extra cost to that, but I think Snuff Out needs to come out, and like Shepherd of Rot probably not at its best. I don't think you're going to be activating that very often. But I mean, like Rattling Reanimator is good, but it's just kind of slow. But I think it's better. I mean, maybe even just like as a card like Zombie Master comes in, like Regenerate might come into play, and it is a 2/3. Like that is it gets around like Curse Scroll and Shocks and whatnot. I guess Bolts and Incinerate still hit it, but
I like that.
yeah, I mean it's probably better than Shepherd of Rot. Though you don't want to make your deck too clunky, but I don't think you can't keep a card like Shepherd of Rot in this matchup. I don't think you can ever expect it for you to be that far ahead for it to be able to be activated. Mike is asking, is it Ron that's playing Persecute? I don't remember Persecute being in either of the lists, but it's not in Ben's, so.
It's not in Ron's list either.
All right. Well, let's look at the Sligh sideboard. Is there anything that is appealing to you? I kind of just want to say no.
Yeah, not really. The Lava Darts really aren't great, given that most of Ben's creatures have 2 toughness. I mean, and there's not really anything that's bad in main deck. Maybe is Flame Rift bad? Do you take out Flame Rift?
I mean, what are you taking it out for?
I mean, you're right.
Tormod's Crypt? I mean, I think you just leave it in and just like, yeah, there might be certain spots where it's not the best draw, but I think on average, you're the aggressor and it will do enough. So I think Brian's 60 stays the same.
Yeah, I don't really like any of his options.
a little hearth charm. I don't know when this hearth charm gets poured in. I gotta remember all the modes on this one. Let's see. So hearth charm is destroy target artifact creature, or all attacking creatures get +1/+0, or target creature with power 2 or less is unblockable. I don't think any of those are needed in this matchup, so I would guess that Brian doesn't sideboard.
Yeah, I have to agree. Well, I let them know that they can go ahead and get started. While they're shuffling, maybe we can talk a little bit about the friends of the show.
Yeah. So some of you may have seen, like on Tuesday we were rated by 90s MTG, but that's one of the channels that does do some streaming of pre-modern. They do a lot of legacy, a lot of eternal formats, but they do a really cool show over there. And so if you're looking to watch some eternal magic, that is a resource. Also, the pre-modcast is done by Andrew Walker, Mike Harris, and then Jared Doucette. Jared's one of our members of the PSS3. And about every month, they'll be doing an episode. They do a podcast, and they'll talk about the latest pre-modern topics and really provide a entertaining show. It's something that I always look forward to the episode coming out to see what the topic is, and I download it and listen to it as quickly as I can. I guess I'll plug the Premodern Super Gauntlet. So that's being hosted or organized by Mike Arnold. He was a competitor in the Premodern Showdown Series 1. But what it is 64 different Premodern decks were entered into a single elimination tournament, and they're piloted by 8 different players, and they do kind of like a March Madness style. So it's fun for players that they can predict who the winner is of each matchup, so they feel a little bit invested, but it's fun to watch and see a variety of matchups that a lot of them are new because there's just so many decks in pre-modern that you can provide some really interesting matchups that happen in pre-modern. I don't know if I have a slide for this, but the Wak Wak MTG, they will be streaming a number of the Premodern Gauntlet series, but Gordon Anderson does a stream every Friday. He is based in Sweden, so it will be in a European time. So his evening, which is closer to the US's afternoon. So I encourage you to check that out. He does do old school content as well, but lately he has been doing a number of pre-modern streams. So if that's something you're enjoying, I would check that out. Is there anyone else you want to plug? Who am I forgetting?
Just the Premodern Monthly more generally. So there's a Facebook group for Premodern and one for the Premodern Online monthly tournaments. So if you're new and you want to get into the format, join those groups. A lot of good people, and it's free to play, pretty casual.
Yep.
It's a lot of fun.
So we are at the end of the month, so that's when the signups are open, as the first of the month will be the start of the tournament. So if you're listening to this right now live, you have a little bit of time to sign up, and I don't know.
Wake up.
By the time I get it to YouTube, it might be past the deadline, but there's always the next month for you to play. So you're part of the Premodern Online Play group on Facebook. That is the best route to sign up for the monthly tournaments. Yeah, meta group instead of Facebook, yes. Did you hear about that, Flint?
What's up?
That Facebook, I don't know if it's official, but they were talking about that, like, art is going to be moving to the name of Meta instead of Facebook.
Really?
I don't know if it's an umbrella of the company is going to expand in terms to new features or whatnot, but that was something I think that was announced today.
I missed that. I'll have to do a little research.
All right, so I'm having a hard time. Is that 6 cards from Brian? I can't see the lines on these red sleeves. think it's 6. All right,
Perhaps.
Dark Ritual, Rotling Reanimator. So if Brian wants to go the attrition route, the Rotling Reanimator needs to go right away. So a 1 minute or a first turn 2/2 is not like a huge deal, but the longevity that it has of producing extra tokens. So it's interesting to see what Brian will do is if he's going to bolt or shock this right away. It looks like he is. So shock will take out. Are you a fan of the onslaught shock?
No, I like Stronghold better because I played Stronghold.
Too. Also, I would not advise shocking a Psychotog, as shown in this art. It is just most likely not the most effective play. Just
Not
saying.
end well for you.
Just saying. Yeah, I like the Stronghold one. But the reason why I think I played like starter, and so this was the art on the starter one.
Nice.
Although it was white bordered. Alright, a 2/2 zombie token will attack. Will the Jackal Pup block? I don't think that Jackal Pup wants to block.
Nah.
So Ben's trying to be the aggressor here. He's got a follow-up Rotling Reanimator, so
That's great.
so Brian only has one land right now. And potentially the Wasteland, we did see a Barbarian Ring in the last game, because I think Brian does he have 3 or 4? He has a lot of Barbarian Rings in his list, doesn't he?
He's got 2.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm confusing a different list I've seen that like had 4 Barbarian Rings. So,
That's a lot.
yes. White borders do get a little bit too much hate, but I know if I have the option of getting my entire deck black bordered, I do like that. But as soon as I get the first white border card in there, then I don't mind additional ones. All right, Lightning Bolt.
It's a slippery slope.
Yes, Lightning Bolt is going to take care of the Rotling Reanimator. Jackal comes in, but the token will block, so Brian ends up taking 2 damage from that exchange. So the life total of Ben has been protected so far here, as Brian's 2 burn spells have been pointing out Rotling Reanimators, and then Jackal was blocked. Bow wow, old friend. Bow wow. Alright, we got a second mana and a Cursed Scroll. And a follow-up Jackal. So there's 3 cards in Brian's hand, so not quite threatening the ability to use this Cursed Scroll reliably. And on Ben's turn, he's got 5 mana, which is probably a little bit more than he wants to see. And he's debating whether he wants to attack with that zombie, and ultimately he does. So, I guess, yeah, I mean, I don't think holding back, eventually that Curse Scroll is going to come online, so I think Ben wants to attack. Especially since he's at 20 right now. Alright, Jackal Pup gets in for some damage. Yeah, and then just a go. So Brian only still on two mana. So now he'll have the 4 cards, I think, in hand. And this token is getting in there. Oh, I was hasty. The Incinerate from Brian will take it out. There's a follow-up Rotling Reanimator. So this is the game to draw the Rotling. That like Brian has had a slower start, and he's had to devote a number of burn spells already to other creatures, and I think as far as things go, Ben is in pretty good shape right now.
Absolutely.
All right, Grim Lavamancer. So this one, even though Brian only has 2 mana, he's going to be able to convert the 4 cards that are in his graveyard to dealing some damage. So that is a nice draw for Brian. Ooh, and doesn't even have to pay me the life for it. Contagion is hard cast, targeting the Jackal Pup and Grim Lavamancer.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I things are going just about as well as Ben could hope for, I think. And I mean, like, I wouldn't even. I mean, and Brian still can win this game pretty easily, but things look really good for Ben, I think.
Yeah, he needs to get the cards out of his hand, but stumbling on 2 lands there is rough.
Yep.
That unglued token could go the
Oh.
distance. Oh, maybe not.
Every time I try and do that, they just get incinerated. So there is a Carnophage. All right. And a Withered Wretch.
And we have seen 2 incinerates from Brian. So if a card like Zombie Master does come down, it's going to get harder to get rid of.
Now, one thing to note: the ability on Withered Wretch, well, sometimes is just kind of trinket text. Actually, does have some relevance that there are Grim Lavamancers and Barbarian Rings, so we could see Ben leveraging all this mana that he has into using that ability. So Ben will pay 1 life to keep that Carnophage on tap, and now he'll attack for 4. Was this Mogfanax blocking already? Interesting. All right. So it'll get in the way and shoot. Oh, okay. There is a lava dart. So presumably targeting the Withered Wretch, Ben will use 4 activations, 5 activations on the graveyard. Gets to keep the shock.
Can
Unfortunately,
he target
no,
Lava Dart?
no, it's on the stack because the damage was dealt
Yeah.
first with the Mog Fanatic.
Yeah.
If you would have done it in the other order, then it would have.
Yeah.
But and then he follows up with a Sarcomancy. So all right, then we'll pay a life. Hopefully, I'm keeping these life totals accurate, but.
All right, I was digging the Mirage Swamps, but he snuck some Ice Age ones in there.
And he's got a Mercadian Mask one on the
Oh
there
my God,
too.
you're right.
That one is.
Benjamin.
I put Ice Age above Mercadian Masks and Tempest. I'm not a fan of those 2 sets, but at least for basic lands. So the Carnophage attacked, Jackal Pup blocked. What happened to the token?
I think he blocked the token, right?
Yeah, but there was a Sarcomanth. Oh no, the Carnophage is still in play. Okay.
Yeah.
I when it was tapped, I didn't even notice it. Okay, yes, the token has been blocked. That makes sense. So Ben still has to pay a life in order to attack for 2. We do see a ball lightning in Brian's hand that was revealed from a duress, but Brian still has not got to his 3rd mana. And Mog Fanatic is the card. So Ben attacks for 2. Like Brian, I don't think you can trade Mog Fanatic and a Mountain to flashback Lava Dart here.
No way.
So I think Brian's at 6.
He's probably maybe drawn a burn spell here. Jared with some words of encouragement in chat. Thank you, Jared.
I think Ben has done all the land drawing with 6 mana. All right, Shock has gotten rid of. I think Ben's at 11. I think that's where we're at with the Carnophage triggers, and now he will take damage from the Sarcomancy still too. All right, goes down 10. So yeah, it's like almost like if Brian draws a land, I think Brian still can win. Like, might even be favored from the spot.
Is he Cabal Therapy naming Ball Lightning?
I think Ben's at 9 because of the Sarcomancy trigger. Yes, this has got to be a Ball Lightning. Yep. The other card is a Lava Dart. Yeah, I mean, Ben needs to do something, and like, as soon as Brian draws a third land, like drawing a creature every turn is not very good because Curse Scroll would be online.
Right. What has Ben got in his hand? Is he just flooding out?
Other cards he could have. Gem Palm Polluter, but that one you could cast. Just hard cast that boy. I don't know.
There's that third land, although it's a Barbarian Ring, which is not ideal against that Wasteland.
Yeah, that actually. Yeah, okay. And so Brian will activate it before it goes to the graveyard, name Lava Dart, and deal 2 damage to Ben. I think Ben is at 6 and will go 5 during his upkeep. There's a Duress that will take Lava Dart, but that's not the most effective play here. I think he's just trying to get things to autofocus. I think that's like one of the APAC lands, I would want to say, but I'm not sure. I'm sure chat will let us know.
Got like a swamp buffet over here. It's a little bit of everything.
Yes. We request of any chance we could get Ronald Ganji's match on stream. I don't know who that is. I don't know if that's is that a reference, like a pop culture reference, or is that an actual Magic match that I should know about?
Good question. While chat ponders over that, we do see a carrying field from Benjamin.
Well, this guy, he can't block. I guess he prevents taking damage from. He might be at 4 now, or I can't remember if I missed the Sarcomancy trigger. But just having this in play at least will stop the Sarcomancy from dealing damage to Ben. Can you read the life pad of Ben?
I cannot.
Does it look like a 4 or a 5?
A bit myopic from here.
Well, if he's at 4, he's dead. I think he's
like
just dead.
Incinerate. Plus
I think
Fanatic is going to close it out.
Yep, I think he was at 4. So, yeah, we were in a spot where things looked really good from Ben, and he just didn't have any pressure. And Brian is eventually going to draw a third land, and really didn't even have it for that long. And the damage from Carnophages and Sarcomancies was able to get Ben low enough. So let's jump over, listen to the players, see what their insight on the matchup is.
Like, it's a area for your Contagion to line up, right? Where normally you could just like zap me probably like turn 2, you know?
I usually hold it for Ball Lightning. It turns out being a 2-for-2 is pretty good. But then I just drew all lands, and like the idea that I was casting my Contagion was actually really, really bad.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, let's. I assume we're done. I don't think they're gonna make me play again.
Yeah, I think we're good with just those 2 games. I have them unmuted, assuming they're
Oh,
going
I'm
to
gonna
chat.
unmute them.
Yeah, we're listening to you guys.
It's time for the third game.
We got time. This was fast. We could do it again.
Sure, we could play again for the fans.
And it's what the people want. Give them what they want.
All right, so the Flame Rifts came out, so we weren't sure.
It's funny. Originally, I thought I would take out the 3 Flame Rifts, but then I thought the Sulfuric Vortexes might actually be worse. So since they're more expensive, and I'm bringing in like more sacrifice effects for my lands.
We just looked at Lava Dart and like it wasn't that impressive, so I don't know.
Sorry.
Yeah, in practice, like he does have like a ton of 2/2s, so
Yeah.
it honestly might be like I've never played the matchup before. Honestly, it might be correct to just not sideboard at all.
That's what we considered, but I mean I don't.
Yeah.
I think your matchup's pretty good either way. So
Yeah.
Ben, what did you have? Did you have anything special that you could to give you an advantage in the match?
Oh yeah, tons of stuff. But the matchup's so bad that it doesn't really matter. But I'm bringing in like tons of tech. These games go either one of 2 ways depending on the build of Sligh. Either the Sligh player ignores me and just like burns my house down, or it ends up being like the 2 fastest decks in the formats having a grind fest. And this was like an example of that, where we just like, we're both this is like not the game that our decks were designed to be playing, but it ends up being this really just like beautiful card advantage grind. The second game was a little awkward. I hit a little patch of lands, and so like I couldn't really keep up. But you saw what I was trying to do with all the Rotling Reanimators, where just going 2 for 1ing him off of those is just like so detrimental to his plan. And then on top of that, being able to have the contagion where I can even 2 for 2 as long as one of them is a Ball Lightning or a Grim Lavamancer, I'm happy. I feel like I'm way ahead. Like if I can trade a Carnophage and a Contagion for a Grim Lavamancer and like anything, I'm happy. So I've played a lot of this matchup. It's never good. This was not a good matchup. The reason I chose to play this over my elf deck was because I knew that his deck is terrible against it's just a very hard matchup for elves. Elves, like he has 3 Lava Dart in the sideboard. I can't imagine that being at all pleasant for the elf player. So I went with the deck that I was more familiar with. I figured, if I'm gonna be playing an uphill battle, I might as well choose one that I'm familiar with. And I've played this, let's say, half a dozen or a dozen times, and I've won maybe like five of those matches. So yeah, it's not terrible.
That makes a ton of sense, especially since you left me with Sligh and Terrageddon. So it's like, if I somehow am scared to play Sligh and play Terrageddon, you beat Terrageddon with zombies like earlier in the series. So it's like, that's probably a matchup you would rather hope that matchup happens versus like the other way,
Yeah. But like you're a break guy. I wasn't gonna.
Oh, you are too.
I will say we had one of the most pleasant, friendliest games I think I've ever enjoyed. Thank you so much, Brian.
You too, man. It was a blast. Everyone should have heard our offline commentary.
Our banter was fantastic. Yeah. And so this is kind of what it looks like. I take out my Shepherd Rots because like. First of all, they're 1/1s. I'm paying 2 mana. Anytime I'm getting a 2 mana play answered by a 1 mana play, it feels bad, and it's like 1 toughness, so it's just not good in the matchup. And then oddly enough, Lord of the Undead, while he's really good when he sticks, there's so much removal for him in the Sligh deck that I'm afraid I'm just going to end up in a combat that I can't possibly win but don't know it, right? Where like I think I'm blocking with a 3/3 or I think I'm attacking with a 3/3 and suddenly my Lord of the Undead is gone. And it just gets really awkward. And what I bring in is just like a whole bunch of grindy nonsense, right? I have the Null Rod for his Curse Scroll because again, it's just a card I can't beat. There's like 6 cards I can't beat in his deck. 4 Grim Lavamancers and 2 3 Curse Scrolls, 7 cards. And Engineered Plague is fine, right? I'm happy to play an Engineered Plague and then his Ball Lightnings don't exist, or I play an Engineered Plague and his Grim Lavamancers don't exist, because both of those are typically the pivot where his deck comes over the top. And then Cabal Therapy I brought in because, again, I'm happy to go 1 for 1 or 2 for 2 with him, because my Rutling Reanimators and typically my spell quality will win out. But it's tough. This is not a particularly good matchup. Well played by Brian. It's not as easy as he made it look.
I would say, I mean, like, at one point of the second game, things look about as good as it could have been. It was turn 4 or 5. You were still at 20, and Brian was stuck on 1 mana. And then just more lands came off the top for you, Ben, and didn't have any pressure. And the pressure that you did present was able to be answered by Brian. And then your Sarcomancy and Carnophage kind of dealt you some damage, and then you're dead. So
yeah, I don't think there's really anything you can do there. That's just kind of part of Magic, and I'm really happy with how the game's developed because I felt like it was going along the lines with what the game plan I set out to do was. Just didn't work out, and that's Magic.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I feel like if you hit like 2 less lands, I don't think I can win that game. Maybe even 1 less land, depending on what the spell is. But yeah, it definitely felt grim in the second game for me. I just stuck to my guns, and I kind of wanted. It's interesting that people play this matchup going like full throttle burn. I didn't think about that going into it. Like once I saw your zombies, even if you played elves, I think I was going to play as if I was playing like Legacy Delver, like Protect the Queen style, where I'm just going to like stick a 1 mana creature and then just like literally just like 1 for 1 all your guys with all my burn. So that's why I kept that 1 land hand for my 6, because I had like 2 lightning bolts and a shock and a jackal club. So I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna kill like the first 3 things he plays, and then like maybe I'll get to keep this like 2/1 that can do some damage. But yeah, the triple Rotlong definitely complicated that, especially getting stuck.
I think that's got to be my best card against you.
Yeah.
But we were kind of thinking along the same lines, and again, like I'm not an expert on this. I don't really know what the answer is. But I kept my first hand in the first game. I kept was like a swamp, and then 3 carrion or Carnophages and a Cabal Therapy. And I just figured, like, if I'm trading 1 for 1 with your creatures, because that's probably what your early game is going to be, as long as I can get one of those 7 cards out of your hand that I'm so afraid of, and I named Grim Lavamancer because there's 1 more of them, but Curse Scroll, could have been fine. Or I think I named Bowline. It's one of those guys. Yeah, it was that was exactly how it played out. Was how I was trying to play. But it's uphill.
Yeah, I got super lucky too, because it's like you flash back to hit the Curse Scroll, which is so bad, and I just like draw all at once. So it's like, if I don't have that Curse Scroll, like my plan of like Protect the Queen, like just kill everything you play doesn't work. So I have like that recurring damage. So it gets way more squirrely for me for sure.
I knew what I signed up for when I registered. This deck's just a lot of fun. It's festive. It's
That's true. I was hoping you would play it simply because it's Halloween week. So
On point.
Yep.
So, Flint, tell me about your Halloween plans. What's you're all dressed up with somewhere to go?
Just gonna go play a little tennis after this. That's about it.
We were talking about how great a movie that is. The Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah, it's an awesome costume.
It is very good.
Yeah. And Michael, you're dressed up as Aaron Rodgers?
I'm a Packer fan. The Packers play tonight. I just checked the score. They were able to beat the Cardinals. So.
Hey!
Yes,
all right.
so.
Excellent.
All right. I don't have anything to add. I'm looking at chat, and I don't see if there were any questions. We were commenting on your swamps, though, Ben.
Oh no!
I guess
okay.
Variety is the spice of life, but you did hold that one up. Do you want to talk about that one? I guess.
Yes,
yeah,
I have a few altars, and the next time I'm on, I will bring up the person's name and I'll leave the contact information. But they're painted in the style of Van Gogh. So they're like.
Oh, I definitely did not notice those.
And this one has some corgis on it.
Okay, yeah, I did not notice those from the stream. Like, those look really cool from there. Yeah, that Van Gogh style is really cool, and the corgis are a nice touch.
Yeah, like the next time I'll send the information over. It's really reasonable price and extremely high quality. So I would definitely what is it? Recommend? Would recommend that.
Yeah. All right, cool.
All right. Well, everyone have a fun Halloween. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Good to
Yeah,
see
happy
you.
Halloween. Go eat some candy.
All right, thanks, guys. Congratulations, Brian. Condolences,
Thank
Ben. But
It's okay.
so,
We'll see you guys soon. Have a good night.
Yep, you too.
all right, take care. Okay, so we will pull up the schedule. So looking forward to next week on Tuesday. Ron will be playing again. He will be up against James. So Ron is now 2-2, while James is 3-1. And then John will be playing against Jared, and both those players are 3-1. So those
Yeah.
are, I think, those are we have 3 players at 3-1. Is that where we're at? I guess I can
Yeah,
bring
John,
up.
James, and Jared are all tied for first right
Okay,
now.
so they all play on Tuesday. So if you're following along, that's something you don't want to miss, because as those are the players that will be battling for the top spot, and likely they're in good position to be making the playoffs, though nothing is set in stone yet. So, is there anything you want to add before we call it a night? We'll be wrapping things up shortly.
Just another happy Halloween to everyone. Have fun this weekend. Stay safe. And looking forward to seeing how these matches go on Tuesday. So make sure you tune back in on Tuesday.
Yeah, had some good matches tonight. I feel like the last few weeks have been really exciting, I guess. So I think as we go forward, they will be, even if the matches aren't as great, the suspense is kind of there, just because we're getting closer to that final cut of the top 4. So it's pretty exciting to see things develop. And I guess I'll take a brief moment to thank everyone who tunes in to the live stream. Thanks to everyone who watches the replays either on Twitch or on YouTube. And then thank you to the people that follow and subscribe. Thanks for supporting what we do. We're having a lot of fun doing it, and we hope you enjoy the production that we make. So with that, I will wrap things up for tonight. And until next time, take care.
Night, everybody.